The other aspect of basic coding is calling functionality, calling normally procedures and functions, subprograms of some kind, but in Java, everything's a method essentially. The key to this is I have to have a chain of responsible parties in order to make something happen. So if I want to sell something to somebody, I have to have a customer. So if you think of like an online service, you want to buy something. I don't sell something to just some abstract function. I'm selling something to a customer. And so that customer object, the virtual thing that I'm creating, is the one who has the information to pay for it. So I have a customer record probably in a database, and maybe that customer's record stores a credit card number or a bank account number or a PayPal login or something that helps them to pay for items. And so the customer is the one who is paying for the items, and they're going to interact with perhaps the cash register that says these are the items I'm going to pay for and provide their payment method. And so that cash register probably is interacting with something like a shopping cart, which has a bunch of items inside of it, and it gets one of the items inside of there, a comic book in this case, and it's going to ask that comic book object for the price. So the concept of object orientation is there's always some responsible party who has the information and who encapsulates the behavior that I'm asking for. And so get price probably just returns a variable, return there. But pay for items is going to go to each of the things, get the price, total them up, figure out the sales tax, and so on and so forth. So let's see that in action. So again, the most important thing is when I pay for something, I need to know which object I'm asking for. I'm paying for a comic book. Well, which object am I paying for? I'm Star Wars number 107 in this case. I'm not buying the Superman or the Batman, the Spider-Man, or the Archie comic. I'm buying this specific one. In the world of structured programming, I would have to be passing along parameters and say, hey, go by this thing that's price is this parameter and I pass it along to you. An object-oriented world, I have all those things wrapped up inside of one single object. The way that happens is I have a class out there. Again, hopefully you're familiar with concepts of object-oriented program by now. We're going to dive into it full bore in this class for sure. But the idea is I have a comic class out there. The comic class has a method inside of it called getPrice. And so if I want to know which comic, what the price of a comic is, I have to know which comic I'm talking about. Which comic am I looking at? The Star Wars comic, the Batman comic, the Superman comic, the whatever that comic's going to be. And then I can go and ask for that specific behavior out of that specific class, which is going to return the specific item. So think of it this way. You might be taking more than one course this term. If you come to this class and say, get homework, you're going to get the homework that's going to have something to do with Java programming. Where if you go to your creative writing class, you won't be writing Java, you'll be writing a short story or a poem or something like that. So they both are of the Java class course. A bit confusing right there. Yeah, so calling it course, but and they both have a method get homework, but they do and return very different things based off of the type of course that they are. It's an analogy. Don't take it too literally, but the concept applies really well. There is a familiar example if you've done any Java coding up till now. Hopefully you dove in and have done some, but you may have typed something like this, system.out.println, a little hello world example. And whether you realized it or not, you were calling a method called println on an object called out in a class called system. So the system class defines a variable called out, which is basically the placeholder for where you go to attach to the terminal for that Java virtual machine. So if we break that down a little bit further, we can see there's a system class out there and it has a public attribute. It's actually one keyword missing here. It should say static, public static print stream out. Don't want to confuse you with that, but for those of you who know Java a little bit, you might have noticed that. But a static variable essentially is a special case that makes it available for everybody. So think of it this way. You have your wallet and you don't let other people go in and reach in and take money out of your wallet, but the gas station might have a take a penny, leave a penny tray, which is open public for anybody to use. The static methods are kind of like that take a penny, leave a penny tray. So that's what the out variable is. Any class, any method, any object in the whole of all of Java can go out and get the out and print to the terminal. Um, Now the out points to a print stream class. It's an object of the print stream class, and it could be pointing out to a terminal. It could be pointing out to a log file. It could be pointing out to a web stream. It could be pointing out to a Twitter feed. Who knows where the print stream goes? But that print stream has a method called printline, and it prints to different places based off of where the out variable has been declared and pointed it to. And that's the really flexible part about this is we can really change the behavior of Java by swapping out objects quite easily. And we can even change the behavior in advanced ways when we get into inheritance and polymorphism and big words like that. But for now, what you need to know is in order to do anything in Java, the first thing you have to ask yourself is who's supposed to be doing the work. I can't just say, somebody please do this work. I have to not just define anybody, but the best object to do the work. And maybe sometimes the only object to do the work is one you need to create yourself. And that can be tough. So if you're not sure about that, reach out and ask. If you're not sure, where things should be coming from or what they should be doing, don't just randomly create stuff because that can cause problems as well. But this is a case where Java is a language where you might not need to worry about certain aspects, but you do have to kind of consider about the architecture and hierarchy of where things come from and where you want them to go. Because it's not just a somebody do this for me. You have to decide that somebody. And we'll see more as we go, but that's the concept that hopefully will lead you a little bit further as you start working on code and maybe run into some of these issues.